Thank you for listening to this PodcastOne Sportsnet production, available on Apple Podcasts and PodcastOne.
Thanks for the download button on the family-friendly version of the Steve Austin Show. And today, I've got my conversation with the phenomenal one, AJ Styles. This is from the Stone Cold Live podcast on the WWE Network, and I'm playing it here for you today. So, AJ is locked and loaded and ready to roll, but first, I got to help out your entertainment budget and your wallet. It's summertime, gang. I know you want to go out and have some fun, maybe check out a baseball game or go to a concert, and I also know those tickets ain't cheap, and buying tickets online can be a confusing process. Well, lucky for you, there's SeatGeek. Everything about the SeatGeek app is designed to make life easier for sports and music fans. SeatGeek has taken all the work and all the hassle out of shopping for tickets. They pull all the tickets available from other sites into one place, so you save time and never miss a deal. Every ticket on SeatGeek is given a grade based on value, so you can immediately find underpriced seats. And SeatGeek is always honest and upfront about the price, so you get the full ticket price from start to finish and ain't surprised with huge fees when you check out. And for all you Steve Austin Show fans, get a $20 rebate off your first SeatGeek purchase. All you have to do is download the SeatGeek app, go to the setting tab, and click Add a Promo Code. Enter the promo code STEVE, and then SeatGeek will send you $20 after you've made your first ticket purchase. So download the SeatGeek app now and enter the promo code STEVE.
The following program is a PodcastOne.com production. From Hollywood, California, by way of the Broken Skull Ranch, this is the Steve Austin Show.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Now, here's Steve Austin.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Steve Austin Show. Why I'm coming to you from the mean streets of Los Angeles, California today. Sitting here in the office at 316 Gimmick Street. As I record this open, it is about 5 minutes after 2 o'clock. I'm about to go pick up my 95 Ford Bronco. Just got it detailed. Got all the carpets and the seats shampooed. Vacuumed out, waxed, buffed. Damn thing's going to look like a new car when I get it. I can't wait to go get that thing back. I'm telling you, I had a very interesting weekend this weekend, folks. I got a chance to go to a place that I frequent every now and then. It's a hotel here in the Marina Del Rey area. And we were celebrating my friend's 60th birthday party. And we had a great dinner, had a couple of Broken Skull Ranch margaritas, and we're just about to leave the premise. And I'll be danged if all of a sudden there's Mike Tyson standing right there in the lobby waiting to check into his hotel room. Well, I saw Mike before he saw me, and I said, "Hey, Mike." I said, "God dang it." I went over there and shook his hand, and, man, we gave each other a hug. I said, "Man, it's good to see you again. I had so much fun working with you back in the day." And then I met his wife, met his kid, met a few of the people that he's traveling with. And I don't know what he was doing in town. I guess he was working on a project. But I tell you what, I'll never forget when I met Mike Tyson. I guess it was sometime in the back end of 1997 because he refereed the match at Wrestlemania 14, which was March 29th, 1998, at the Fleet Center in Boston, Massachusetts. 19,028 people attended that event. Anyway, I can't remember when we first started that feud, when we first brought Mike in. But, man, I tell you what, it just brought back a lot of damn memories. And Mike Tyson brought a lot of different eyeballs to the product at that time. You know, we were kicking and scratching. And I remember down there in WCW on a Nitro show, they'd been kicking our ass for a long-ass time. And, you know, hell, I was heading to this WrestleMania 14 match. Very important match for me, you know. WrestleMania 12, which happened in Los Angeles. You know, I wrestled Savio Vega, one of my favorite opponents of all time, but we were just kind of early up on the card. And then, of course, WrestleMania 13 was one of the most important matches of my career with the one and only Hitman, Bret Hart, and a double turn match, which was very, very instrumental in my career. And then, of course, you know, WrestleMania 14, you know, Sean and I weren't really seeing eye to eye on a personal level. And, man, I was hotter than, man, a lightning bolt. And Sean his back was in a bad way, and he'd been running pretty hard. I'd been running pretty hard, and we're running up to WrestleMania 14. And I remember Vince calling me aside, and he says, "Hey, man, we're thinking about bringing Mike Tyson in to, you know, put a spark in this feud." And I said, "Man, are you kidding me, really?" He goes, "Yep." I said, awesome. So anyway, I can't remember the town. I'm guessing it was Fresno, California. For some reason, that town comes to my brain. I think, when I came down there and Vince was in the ring and he introduced the baddest man on the planet, Iron Mike Tyson. I'll tell you what, Mike had all of his posse there in the ring, and all of a sudden, man, that glass broke. They crashed Stone Cold's music, and I came walking down that ramp, and the people were going ballistic. It was unbelievable. And so I go in there, hit all my corners, and, of course, Vince, the master showman that he is wondering what in the hell Stone Cold Steve Austin is doing, interrupting his big announcement that Iron Mike Tyson is in the WWF. I think it was still F at the time. And, of course, there's that famous promo with me and Mike talking, and then boy, I tell you what, I give him the double birds right in his face, and he pushed me hard. I went flying back. And, boy, here's the thing. We didn't need to get in any contact. It was all about Mike pushing me and me scrambling for him. And if you get back on YouTube and you watch the execution of that angle when Mike pushed me, I've talked about this several times, but just because I just saw Mike 2 days ago, well, yesterday as a matter of fact, I just had to remember this great angle that we shot. But, man, Mike pushed me, and when he did, it was like 30 or 40 or 50 $100 bills just exploded out of his suit, and all of his handlers, all of his guys are on the mat trying to scoop up these $100 bills. And I'm trying to get back at Mike, and it's a shoot. I know Jerry Briscoe, everybody who knows Jerry Briscoe, shoot wrestler, very tough. All the boys respect Jerry. I don't know if Sarge was in there, but they were really trying to hold me back, and I was really trying to get back at Mike. Now, obviously, we didn't want me to get back to Mike, but we were working it like a shoot, and I was damn sure trying. And, boy, I tell you what, they got me out of that ring, and that crowd came unglued, and we set the hook, and we were off to the races. And then, of course, it'd go on to do the angle. I guess it was kind of like Mike had sided with DX. And so when that match started, I didn't know, or the crowd didn't know, which side was Mike on. Is he going to call this thing down the middle? Is he a part of DX, or does he favor Shawn? As it turns out, we go through this match, and Mike Tyson did a really, really good job of refereeing that match. I've said on many occasions that match didn't live up to my expectations because of all the matches that I had with Shawn Michaels in the house shows. They were 10 times better than that match. But and Shawn Michaels is the greatest performer in the history of the business. And, he was in a bad way. His attitude wasn't really good, and his back was even worse. The guy was in a lot of pain. And I'll never forget, we caught the stunner, a little bit of a do-si-do, duck this, duck that, catch the foot, back into the ropes, duck a clothesline, bam, stunner, 1, 2, 3. Now, the only thing that I wish would have happened was Mike give a quick 3 count. It was bam, 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 instead of like that good, slow Earl Hebner cadence. 1, 2, 3. So the drama just builds a little bit. But, man, it took me back to Wrestlemania 14, seeing Mike Tyson over there here at the hotel the other day. So, Mike, it's good to see you, man. Glad you're staying busy and doing everything that you're doing. I don't know what you're up to right now, but it brought back a lot of good memories. And it's a funny thing about talking to Mike back in the day. We didn't sit around and shoot the breeze all the time because Mike was doing things, and so was I. Man, I was on top of the world and on top of the business. But when you talk to Mike, he was a big fan of professional wrestling, and he probably knew more about the history of the business than a lot of guys did. Specific talent and some of the older guys from generations past. But it was cool talking to Mike and getting to know him a little bit. And I'm on Wikipedia right now, and it says Aftermath. And this is straight from Wikipedia. It says, the result of the main event heralded a changing of the guard in the World Wrestling Federation. Shawn Michaels, who had been a major superstar in the company for many years, having won his first WWF World Heavyweight Championship at Wrestlemania 2 years previously, took a 4-year hiatus from wrestling due to injuries sustained in a casket match against Undertaker at the Royal Rumble. He made several ostensible one-off appearances as a guest commentator during episodes of Raw in the summer of 1998, and eventually replaced Sergeant Slaughter as commissioner at the end of the year, holding on to the position for a year and a half. After what was supposed to be a one-time match 4 years later at SummerSlam 2002, Michaels and the now renamed World Wrestling Entertainment realized that his injuries had healed and he made a full-time return to wrestling, retiring in 2010 at WrestleMania 26, 12 years after this event. With Stone Cold Steve Austin winning the main event, the Attitude Era was fully ushered in. Hey, big shout out to Iron Mike Tyson. Big shout out to HBK, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. There was a lot of speculation, a lot of rumors. No one knew what was going to happen. Was he going to make it to the ring? We had done the little press event the day before, and Shawn was late to that, but he showed up. He worked his ass off. He worked hurt, and, we accomplished what we set out to do. Stone Cold Steve Austin, me, was the World Heavyweight Champion. It was, for whatever you think the business is, when you win that World Championship, it's like nothing else. And that's my wrestling story after seeing Mike Tyson just 2 days ago. Hey, my conversation with AJ Styles is what we're going to talk about, but before we talk about that, I just give you a quick plug on some Broken Skull IPA over at El Segundo Brewing Company in California. You can find it at Whole Foods Total Wines, and you can find it online at BrokenSkullRanch.com. And you can also find all my T-shirts and my pocket knife from Cold Steel Knives at BrokenSkullRanch.com. But before we get into the body of this podcast, how many times have y'all heard me say this? Guys are dumb. Now, I'm just speaking the truth, and I'm including myself, too. Guys are dumb. And if you screwed something up lately and your girl ain't too happy with you, I'm going to smarten you up right now. Send her flowers from thebooks.com. Books flowers are grown at eco-friendly farms on the side of a volcano. That's right. You heard it, a volcano. And the Books flowers are gorgeous. The blooms are larger and the colors are more vibrant. So say sorry for whatever the screw-up with hand-delivered flowers from thebooks.com. And it won't break your bank either. Books prices start at just $40, and delivery is free when you register with the Books. And we're going to go one step further. We'll cover one of your screw-ups on us with free flowers. Just email your screw-up story to helpmebooks@gmail.com. That's helpme, BOUQS, @gmail.com. We'll choose one winner at random. But if you don't win the free flowers, or if you have more than one screw-up to cover, then take advantage of this special offer. You can get 20% off the bouquet of your choice. Just go to Books.com and enter the promo code Steve. That's BOUQS.com and use the promo code Steve.
Stone Cold! Stone Cold! Stone Cold!
You ain't gonna mold me. Steve Austin does what he wants.
Austin's raising hell!
What he wants.
The Texas Rattlesnake! Stone Cold is the man!
You ready for the live Steve Austin Show podcast? Then give me a hell yeah. All right, everybody, welcome to the Stone Cold Podcast. I'm coming to you live here on the WWE Network from Phoenix, Arizona. Before I get into business, I want to take this time to say congratulations to the Cleveland Cavaliers last night, coming back in Game 7 from a 3-1 deficit, putting the Golden State Warriors away and winning the NBA championship. LeBron James, another MVP trophy, but lots of love and a big shout out to my man Kevin Love for rocking the classic Austin 316 shirt, for clanging 2 beers together and guzzling Stone Cold style, and for rocking the Smoking Skull belt. Kevin Love, Cleveland Cavaliers, a job well done. Oh, hell yeah! All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sitting here in PHX, Phoenix, Arizona. Here on the Stone Cold Podcast, I am glad to be back in action. Mick Foley filled in for me last month. He did a hell of a job. Nonetheless, good old Stone Cold is back, the toughest SOB to ever stomp a mud hole and walk it dry in the WWE history. My special guest today is a guy who I've been wanting to talk to for a long-ass time. His name is AJ Styles. He is the phenomenal one. AJ, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. It took a long time, huh?
It's been a while. Hey, man, I'm working on that rotator cuff. I'm just coming back from a little bit of an injury. You almost yanked my arm out of socket. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Man, I'm better than I deserve. Honestly, this is it's been great being here. So I'm just excited to be a part of it all. Honestly,
You excited to be a part of the podcast? Excited to be a part of the WWE? How are you feeling? Because I just got finished watching you in this show, Monday Night Raw, live a little bit while ago. Cut a hellacious promo out there with John Cena, and then you stomped a mud hole in his ass and walked it dry. Are you starting to get acclimated? Do you really feel at home now? You've been here 6 months. You've knocked some matches out of the park with Roman Reigns, a classic last night with John Cena. How you feeling? How you fitting in?
well, I got to tell you, when I first got here, I was a little nervous about coming in here. You heard stories about the WWE and the guys that were here, and so I didn't know how, a new guy coming in, how they would respond to it. But man, they treated me like gold here. I couldn't believe it. In fact, I probably got comfortable way too fast, and so I had to dial it back a little bit. I mean, that's how good this roster is, man. Then made me feel, they did make me feel at home very quickly, man.
But dude, how long you been in business? Damn near 18
Yes.
years?
Yep.
Okay, this ain't your first rodeo. You coming to the big stage now. It took you a long time to get here, and we're going to talk about all that. But as you know, you can never get too comfortable. You get comfortable, you get complacent, you go downhill. You're making your presence felt. You're knocking these matches out of the park. Are you happy with where you are right now?
I mean, how can I not be? And I like being put in that position where I have to work for it. I don't mind working for something. I feel better when I'm working hard to get to a destination. And it's here, to be one of the top guys, to be in the main event. And I like working hard to get there. And truthfully, I know I'm not the biggest guy here, so I have something to prove. So I have to get after it when I get in the ring.
No, I kind of noticed. I thought you maybe operated with a chip on your shoulder.
Well, I wouldn't say it's a chip.
What is it?
It's a guy who's always been told, well, you're not the biggest guy. I'll tell you a story. My oldest son is just, man, he's an athlete. Nothing. All my boys are athletes, but my oldest son is into all these baseball, basketball, and does really well at all of them. I told my dad, I said, Dad, he's great at everything, but he's small. He goes, yeah, that's funny. So are you. You just didn't know it. There it is. You don't have to know how. It's not about how big you are. It's not how big the dog is. How big the fight is in the dog, right?
Right.
Same thing, man.
Dude, if you'd lined up all the WWE superstars back up in about 95, 96 when I came in here, I wasn't the biggest, best-looking cat in here either. So I feel like there's a little bit of a parallel kind of running with what you're doing here in today's landscape with what I was doing back in my day. But can I give you a piece of advice before
Please.
we get into a little bit of your history and come up and tell your story?
Please.
Next time you get John Cena down on the mat and get a chance to stomp the snot out of him, lay your shit in just a little bit more because those opportunities are few and far between. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
Just a little bit of advice. Turn the volume up because you don't want to get lost in the shuffle. Kick the shit out of that guy when you got him down.
I'm guaranteeing there's probably going to be another opportunity because I will take advantage of it, and I will take your advice.
And I want to apologize for those 2 4-letter words, but I figure when you pay $9.99 for a network and you get all the quality program that's on this thing, that you get 2 4-letter words from Stone Cold Steve Austin every single month. That's just what I believe, AJ. I got to give the people their money's worth. For those that I offended, my humble apologies. AJ, back to you. I tried to do a lot of research on you. I've seen a lot of your work from all the territories, all the promotions you've been. Holy smokes, you've been around the world. But where did it all start? Where do you come from?
Well, obviously, I was. Do you want the whole story?
I want to know where you was born.
Camp Lejeune, North Carolina.
Here's a story about Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. Was it Army base or Marine base?
Marine base.
That's a Marine base down there. Wrestled down there in the early 90s in that little gymnasium that they have over there. That is the hottest damn building I have ever wrestled in my life. How was life coming up? Was your dad a Marine?
My dad was a Marine. I will say this, although I was born there, I didn't spend, I don't even remember being there because, when I was about 1 year old, we moved to Gainesville, Georgia.
Yeah.
But once a Marine, always a Marine. I lived with a Marine, and the guy was pretty scary. You know, it just as Marines should be. You know, a lot of respect for the Marines, mainly because my dad was one.
Your dad was a Marine, but how was he as a dad?
Well, you know, my dad, there's no doubt I knew he loved me. I knew he loved my brothers. I had 3 other brothers, and I knew that he loved us, but my dad had a drinking problem. He was an alcoholic. When he was drinking, he was a terrible father. He took it too far a little bit sometimes, coming home looking for a fight, and took it out on his kids and sometimes his wife. There were some difficult times, but even though bad stuff like that happened, I still knew that my dad loved me. Really, supported me in every sport I ever did. You know, he was just.
But was he a loose cannon? Was this a regular everyday thing? Or
it was.
Hey man, what's Dad going to be up to today? I hope he ain't drinking.
That's exactly it. Well, I hope Dad doesn't come home drinking, because we knew somebody's going to get tore up, because anything could set him off. You know, when he's drinking, and then when I say that, you know, I don't want to put my dad in a bad spot here, but yeah, I want you to tell you that he did go too far when it came to the spankings. Going off the handle too much. I remember I'm breaking stuff over, just too far. You know, would I say that we got beatings? Maybe a little bit. You know, maybe I would say that that's the kind of dad we have, but also, nobody's perfect. And
so being brought up in a childhood like that, in a combustible environment, which was your dad, was a good man, but when he was on the sauce, not good.
Not good.
Did that have any effect on the way you raised your kids? Because you're a father of 4, correct?
Yes, a father of 4, and it 100% affected the way that I raised my kids. Now, I have a dad voice, and I got that from my dad. And I can, as soon as I yell at my kids.
Dad voice, because I know what you're talking about.
All right, let's just say, hey! It's a little bit louder than a hey. Yeah. And they, boom, snap their heads around, and they know what's up. Dad's not playing around anymore. I got that from my dad. But I also, I always say you can either follow in your parents' footsteps or learn from their mistakes.
Right.
And I learned from my parents' mistakes. And, I there's little things that I got from them that I, learned that was good things. But most, I learned stuff I'm not going to do with them.
But in that environment and coming up as a kid, what was your athletic endeavors? Were you into team sports?
I was in everything. Just like, my boys are in everything. I was football, baseball, basketball. When I was in elementary school, we didn't have a football team, which is killed me.
You kidding me?
It killed me, man. It freaking
a small school.
This is ninth grade right here.
Okay.
That's my first year playing football on a team.
Okay.
Now we played in the backyard.
Now, did you join up in all these sports just because you loved sports?
I loved them.
You need to get away from your dad. You need something to take out.
Oh no! My dad would do anything and everything he can to make sure that I played these sports. He would, buy me whatever I need to play the sports because he loved it too. I mean, I get it now that I'm a dad watching my own kid play.
Yeah.
So I would do anything.
What kind of athlete were you? Because when I watch some of the stuff that you do in the ring these days, it blows my mind. And some of the move sets, some of the stuff that you do inside a squared circle. Highly competitive as a kid. Did you excel at the sports that you played?
Basketball did pretty well in, and I think it's more not because I was the best shooter. I was just a hustler, man. I got after it. Everything I did was a hustle. From playing t-ball, for the being sponsored by the boys club and Dairy Queen, getting after it, man. I wasn't afraid of the ball. I had 2 older brothers that were going to throw the ball as hard as they wanted at me, so I caught it. I had no other choice either to get beat. So a lot of these kids are scared of the baseball, and I was like, bring it.
Right.
I wanted it. I wanted every bit of the ball that I could, and being the smaller guy, I just wanted to knock a home run as a kid, and never got the opportunity to do that. But I would hustle.
But see, in South Texas, where I grew up, we didn't have any amateur wrestling. I understand you do have an amateur wrestling background.
I do. I started when I finally got to play football, our cornerback coach was also the head wrestling coach. He asked me to come out. I said, all right, I'll give it a shot. A week into it, I said, Coach, I can't do this. This is hard. This is difficult. He said, give me 1 more week. I said, all right.
Was it the conditioning or was it the...
It was conditioning. Okay. I mean, there's no other conditioning like, collegiate wrestling. I mean, you can't compare it to anything. I think some of the best athletes in the world come from collegiate wrestling. There's
Well,
no
it's funny that you say
use.
that because I'm good friends with Kurt Angle, and he puts you over as being one of the best workers he's ever been in the squared circle with. And if you go back and look at his training logs of the insanity that he was going through to pursue Olympic gold successfully in 1996, he knows firsthand how tough it is. But he puts you over as being one of the most talented wrestlers, if not the most talented wrestler he's ever got into the squared circle with. But back to the amateur wrestling. You made it through. Did you excel at that as well?
Well, I was. We didn't have a 152. So my freshman year, I started at 152. I remember the first guy I wrestled. He was it was like he's headbutting me. He's just locking up. And I'm, coach, he's headbutting me. I don't know what to do. And the guy ended up beating me. Second year, I wrestled that same guy. And now I got a thing or two. I've got some mat work under my belt. I ended up getting thrown out of the match because I was calling him every name in the book while I'm sitting there putting his arm behind his back. I met up with him again my junior year in the finals of a tournament. I ended up 15-pointing him and pinning him at the same, meaning I pinned him, but if I'd let him up, it'd been 15 points. That was the kind of guy I was. I wanted to, I wasn't wrestling you to just beat you. I'm going to wrestle you. I wanted to hurt you because you decided to get on the same mat as me, and now you got to pay the price. That was my attitude.
See, and that's one of the things, and just listen to you tell that story, that's one of the things that I love about you, because that's that killer instinct. That's that mean streak. To me, to be successful in sports, you have to have a mean streak. Hey, it's not fun just to, hey, I want to compete. I just want to have fun and be out there with the guys. Hey, piss on that. Dude, I want to win, and I'm going to beat your ass to win. And that was much the same way I took into the squared circle myself. But when I watch you in the ring and I see that mean streak and I watch you lay all your stuff in, it's a contest. It's a sport. And that's one of the things that why I praise your work the way I do. Now, I also know you're somewhat of a religious guy.
I am. I am.
So what kind of words are you telling these guys when you got all these hammer locks and stuff and you got them twisted in a knot?
Well, listen. Now, just so you know, I really... turn my life around
AJ,
when I was a senior in high school. So I was bringing it, and I was saying some awful things, and it wasn't just in wrestling, because in football you got to talk a little smack, and I let them know that I was there, and these little freshmen coming, I'm telling them I'm going to murder you, little mother. I was laying it on them.
Yeah.
That's the way it was. But as I got into college, I went to a Baptist college as well. Man, I just didn't feel the same way. I didn't feel right about hurting guys that I was in there with. So it's just, I didn't finish college. Let's put it that way.
So what was your take on the business of professional wrestling? A lot of people come from the shoot side of it, and they see the pros and think, not so much. But growing up, did you watch the business to begin with?
I did watch a little bit. Now, I didn't have cable or anything like that, so it was very hard and difficult for us.
Were times hard? I mean, your dad's in the Marines. He's an alcoholic. He can be abusive, but he's a good dad when he's not drinking.
Right.
How was the money supply? Were you guys dirt poor?
They weren't we were freaking dirt poor. You got 4 kids, boys. They eat everything in the house. We lived in a trailer. That's just the way it was, and my parents weren't very good with money. I remember there was a back bedroom, but nobody slept in it because it was too cold or too hot. So my parents slept on the fold-out couch with my little brother, and I slept in the other room with my 2 older brothers. That was our life that we lived for a long time, But again, though, that's the reason why, when I accomplish something or get something, when I walk up to the mail and get my mail, I look back and go, oh man, look at this house. I never thought I'd have something like this. Makes me appreciate the little things. Not that a house is a little, but everything about where I am right now.
So what was your take on the business of pro wrestling? Because you're in, Anderson College?
Well, yes, I'm in Anderson College. And
you drop out?
I did.
Why?
Spring break came along, and I go, I don't even know why I'm here. I didn't like school to begin with. Why did I go to college? Oh, I got a scholarship. Well.
What were you going to study?
Physical education.
Okay, I went as a business major, turned into a PE major. I dropped out with 17 hours. At least you quit sooner than I did. You were smarter than I was. So what was plan B?
Really didn't have one. I knew that I was dating a girl at the time. I knew that this is the one. Somehow I was going to marry this girl. Went home, got a regular job. But me and this girlfriend, we were out. 2 guys came up to me and said, to my buddies from high school, jacked up guys, says, hey, man, we're going to go be pro wrestlers. Like, all right. I said, I tell you what, when you find a place, I will go with you. Right. They go, okay. They called me maybe 2 or 3 weeks later. And they found a place in Cornelia, Georgia, about maybe 20 minutes from my house. in the old Mud Creek School gym. Went up there. They gave me, kind of testing out, see how I was going to react to a bump.
Right.
I said, I can do this. I can do this all day. I'm going to do this. I don't know why, but immediately thought, I can do this. And you couldn't have told me any different.
All right, I'm sitting here with AJ Styles. Before we talk about his high-flying stuff and his time at TNA, I need to thank all the fine sponsors of the Steve Austin Show. I wouldn't be podcasting for free every week if not for them. So thanks to Weebly. If you're looking to create your own badass website, then you need to check out Weebly.com/Austin. Weebly makes it easy to create a professional quality website, blog, or online store. And Weebly has a wide variety of professionally designed mobile-friendly themes to choose from. You just pick a theme, and then you drag and drop your content to build and publish your website. It is that easy, and it is that fast, and you ain't got to be a technology genius to do it. You can update and change your site anytime on any device. You can do it right from your phone. That's the best part. You see, Weebly has an app that lets you update your site, add more content, and check your online store orders right from your phone, no matter where you are. You don't need to be in no office or sit at no computer to work on your website. With Weebly, you have instant access. You can take care of business anytime you need to. Listen, creating a fantastic website shouldn't get in the way of your dreams. Join the over 30 million people who are already dreaming big with Weebly. Get started today for free at Weebly.com/Austin. That's Weebly.com/Austin. Let me spell it out for you. WEEBLY.com/Austin. All right, here we go again. Y'all know the story. Weeds. They're like nature's boomerang. And Roundup knows they keep coming back. They always will. Well, with one spray of Roundup Max Control 365, kill those stubborn little rascals right down to the very root and keep them away for up to 1 year. Draw the line and stop weeds from boomeranging back. And this week, I'm drawing the line at the best thing you can do for yourself if you want to succeed in the squared circle business. Believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself and if you don't stick up for yourself, nobody is. So you've got to believe in your own ability. You've got to believe in what you're doing inside and outside of the squared circle. Believing in yourself is the key to success. And Roundup, hey, they're drawing the line at weeds. Your patio should be for cooking out and kicking back. Yes, Roundup Max Control 365 helps keep it that way by keeping weeds away for up to 1 year. One spray of Roundup Max Control 365 gets you up to 365 days of weed-free relaxation time. Hey, folks, it's time to draw the line.
So did your amateur wrestling background help you in any way, shape, or fashion? Because I don't really see that in your wrestling style. High flyer, highly athletic.
Well, it did to begin with. To begin with, it kind of hindered me. I'm trying to rip guys' heads off, and obviously that's not the way we do things. But learning that, but knowing, what a fireman's carry is and stuff like that, knowing how things are supposed to work and how smooth you can make it, that helped. But that alone can't get you where you need to be. You got to be a jack of all trades.
So did you have to back off that mentality of, the win factor? And, I'm doing this to win, because
absolutely.
This is a different dynamic.
You know how it is. You learn as you go what's important and what isn't important. But, I barely got any training. Within a month into my training, I was in the rink.
Let me ask you, one of the litmus tests for me, and people that want to get into the business of pro wrestling, sports entertainment, or whatever you want to call it, okay, is a flat back bump. Because a lot of people are allergic to that mat. But you, with your contact in football, with your amateur background, the bumps were nothing to you.
No problem.
You're good with that?
Yep.
And so then you started chain wrestling. How did you go about evolving into the style that would become AJ Styles?
I got to tell you this, and as crazy as it sounds, my girlfriend at the time, was a cheerleader in high school, man. It was an athletic competition where these, it isn't what...
Who's that young buck?
A much cleaner version of what you see now.
No, go ahead.
But competition cheerleading. I don't know if these girls are unbelievable. And sometimes guys do it. Well, I did it with my wife as well. I can throw her up. I can catch her. I can do all that stuff. So that's how I learned how to start doing my flips. and just being with her. And we'd go out, and do all that. Oh, man. But I wasn't afraid to do flips. I wasn't afraid to try these things. That's how I got started so quickly. Like, this guy can do a shooting star press, so let's throw him in the ring. Was I ready? Absolutely not. I would never do that to a kid.
All right, let me ask you a question. I believe you made your debut under a mask as Mr. Olympia. Is this true?
Is this true?
I've talked to how many people, and they've started off as Mr. Olympia under a hood or a mask. And to those that don't know what a hood is,
listen,
explain to me how you become Mr. Olympia.
I would have done anything to get in that ring and wrestle. Right. I don't care
Whose
what
idea was it?
Definitely wasn't mine. It was the promoters.
Well, why did they want to put you under the hood?
I don't know, and I didn't care. Just put me in the ring and let me wrestle.
Yeah.
And it was against another guy who was trained with me. So we just went out there and done. I'm sure I'd be so embarrassed if I watched it now, but I was so happy to be a part of it all. I mean, I was dying to be in that ring and to be in front of people and wrestle.
So you met your wife. She was a cheerleader.
Yes.
Okay, so then what were you doing? You were doing stuff on the sides. You was mowing grass.
Yep, I was delivering bottled water. Delivered bottled water, great job. And actually, I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying this, but to help pay for my training because I had no money, I'd give them some bottled water. So when I'd change it out for them, that's how I paid for my training, is I delivered them some bottled water, 5-gallon jug.
I ain't going to tell nobody that. Nobody listens to my podcast anyway.
But, I mean, it worked.
How long did it take you to grab a hold of to what the concept is here? Here's what we're trying to accomplish. Let's tell a story. You had the mechanics down probably, I'm imagining, pretty fast.
The mechanics weren't a problem, but I think it takes years to understand that, dude, there's more important things than the wrestling part of the match. There's a story that needs to be told. And I don't think I really captured that until Terry Taylor and I started sitting down and talking.
When was this?
This is
how many years in the business?
Gosh, it was
got to be 5, 6.
Yeah, maybe longer than that. Maybe more like 8.
Yeah, because Terry was instrumental in helping a lot of guys down the road.
Yeah,
and myself as well.
I mean, he helped. I can't explain how much Terry Taylor helped me. I've got nothing but great things to say about Terry.
Okay, so then he helped you in that regard, but let's talk about your style, because when I watch you, AJ Styles, no pun intended there, when I watch you, I see someone that I see a lot of different pieces of. Do you consider yourself a high flyer, like a cruiserweight guy, or just
I would say that I'm a guy who will adapt to whatever the guy that I'm wrestling is.
Right.
I want to be that guy. So you can throw me in there with anybody you want. I will adapt to them. I will do their style or my style, whatever we need to do to make this match great. I'll do it.
And to me, that's one of your strong points, the fact that you can work any style that needs to happen. I kind of modeled myself in my early career, very impressionable by the Nature Boy Ric Flair. He's my favorite pro wrestler of all time. So in the beginning, I modeled myself after him. Took me getting dropped on my head to change into a brawler, which fueled the height of my career. But if you had to say someone who influenced you ring-wise, whether it be 1, 2, or 3, who would you say influenced you style-wise?
Well, I would say at the beginning I was more, attracted to the athletes, as far as their work. And I remember Lance Storm jumping up to the top rope, doing this amazing, just an amazing athlete.
Yeah.
And that, I love that. But as I got into the story with Shawn Michaels and the stuff, the way that he sold things and just everything he did meant something. And that's what I admired about him. And I really tried to figure out how to be more like him and do what he does. Like, I felt like he was the kind of guy that adapted to everyone he ever wrestled.
Right.
And that's what made him great. And not just that, but it was the little things he did that made his matches great.
Let's go back in one component and talk about your wife real quick, because you met her, she was a cheerleader. All of a sudden, you get into the business of pro wrestling. You're delivering water, you're delivering someone on the slide, paying for the wrestling lessons. That's a secret. Don't tell nobody. Get them on grass. You're doing whatever it takes. So all of a sudden now, you start traveling around the world, I'm guessing, or into different regions and territories. What did your wife think from knowing AJ as she knew you back then, working a regular job, and now, man, you're gone all the time? Because, dude, being a pro in this business is not easy. It's not easy to stay married. So how did she adapt to that?
Well, first of all, my wife's awesome. That's plain and simple. She's a good woman. It was difficult when I started traveling around. We started dating in high school. That's where I met my wife. And so she knew me before I was, an entertainer here, and then so when I got on the road, it was difficult. It was hard being away from her, and she's got nothing to do. I mean, even though she's home, she wants to spend it with her husband. But I'm gone a lot. It's very difficult. When we had our first son, though, now it's not about us. It's about him. It's about the kids, and things got a little bit easier, and my job is to make sure I provide for them. So it's odd that it was the kids that kind of go, okay, let's settle down. It's not all about you. And we just worked it out.
Where were you at that time, promotion-wise? Because ultimately, soon enough, you'd end up in WCW, but you'd already traveled for, far and wide.
Yeah, I wrestled a guy named Christopher Daniels, as you know. He is the guy, after WCW went out of business, I was a little depressed. I mean, I had an opportunity here, I thought.
Let's talk about that, because you get into WCW, and then they go out of business. WWE buys WCW, correct?
Yeah, correct.
And you were going to get probably a good run, but I don't know if I've got my facts correctly. You tell me. Did Talent Relations not see anything in AJ Styles and say, hey, man, we'll catch you down the road?
Apparently not. Johnny Ace was the one that basically gave me my job in WCW, and also was the one who told me they're not picking up your contract. WWE's not picking up your contract. And that's a little bit of a blow.
That's a hell of a blow because you ain't got no job.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, that's someone saying, hey, man, yeah, you can do all this, but we don't think you're all that much.
And you know what? I wasn't. At that time, I didn't need to be there. That wasn't the place for me. If WWE would have picked up my contract from WCW, I would have fizzled out. There's no way I would have made it. I wasn't ready. I didn't spend enough time on the road. I had enough matches. All this was, to me, it's all part of God's plan.
But to me, I mean, sometimes timing is everything. Sometimes it's the only thing.
I'll tell you, WWE didn't pick up my contract. Fine. I'm going to go down to, I think maybe is either 51st, 52nd anniversary of the NWA. I'm going to go down there. There's some Japanese wrestlers going to be there. I'm going to tear it up down there. I'm going to go work in Japan. That's what's going to happen. And that'll be the end of it. I'll just work in Japan. I'm cool with that. Well, going down there, meeting Christopher Daniels for the first time. This guy's a star when it comes to the independents. He's just got it all, man. He's amazing.
Yeah, he's an awesome worker.
Awesome. First time I ever met him, though, him and I just had an unbelievable match. Which is unheard of. Two guys getting in the ring first time and just never touched before and just have an amazing match. He is the reason why I started getting booked all over the world. That man right there, one of my best friends to this very day. And because of him, I made a living, doing all, wrestling on the indies.
So what year was that? Because at some point, give or take, WWE offered you a developmental deal, but you decided,
I would think
pass, my friend.
Yeah,
pass.
I guess that had to be 2001 because that's when WCW went out of business, and it was soon after that I met Christopher Daniels and it started taking off. And then 2002, I do believe in 2002 WWE. I wrestled a match with Hurricane Helms.
Yeah.
Had a good little match with him. And then I went to the camp. I think it was a week long. Did okay, did pretty good. They gave me a call back. And they said, well, we want you to move to Cincinnati. We're going to put you in developmental. And I appreciate that. And I was very happy to have it. But I said, give me a minute. Let me think about this. Because the problem was my wife was in college. And in my heart, I didn't believe it was right to say, you know what, honey, you're going to go live with your parents again when I'm supposed to take care of her. I'm supposed to provide for her. That's my job. So I didn't feel right moving to Cincinnati. So I had to call Johnny and said, thank you for, thinking about me, but I'm going to have to turn it down.
But, and that was all for your wife?
Yeah, absolutely, 100. She told me, she said,
again,
go. She said, go. My wife told me, go.
But again, it just goes back to me. You've worked for every single thing you've gotten, and you're taking care of your family, and here you're looking out for your wife. So then did you go to Japan, or was that?
Well, it wasn't a couple months, and then TNA.
Dude, let's talk about TNA. They just call you up and say, hey, man, here's what we're going to offer you. I'm not asking for numbers, but how did they structure their offer with you?
Well, I was wrestling World Wrestling All-Stars, I believe it was. They were doing this tour, and I went down there and wrestled and met Jeff Jarrett. Mm-hmm. And he was the one, him and his father were running TNA. Basically struck a deal there in Australia Didn't think much of it. You know, I thought it's another independent. I'll go do it, make some money while I'm at it. That's how, as far as I know, I was the first guy they ever signed to a deal.
So what were your thoughts on TNA? I mean, because you spent, 12 years there?
11 years, 11 strong years there. And listen, for 6 months, I didn't care. To me, it was another independent. And I was okay with that because it was a Wednesday night and I didn't have anything going on anyway. And I was able to earn some bucks. As it grew, as people told me that this place was going to go out of business and it never did, and you go, you know what? We got something here. And I was having unbelievable matches with Low Key and Jerry Lynn. Jerry Lynn, one of my favorites, one of the guys I learned a lot from. And then went on to started doing more stuff and gets bought out by Panda Energy. And then this thing's really starting to go. Now we start moving to Orlando. I mean, it was a slow build, and now it's really taking a turn for something big here.
Okay, you're saying the turn starts coming up here. Pan Energy comes in. That means Dixie Carter's now running the company.
Right.
Your thoughts on Dixie Carter running the company coming off the heels of working with the Jarretts?
Well,
the person who's not necessarily been in the wrestling, sports entertainment industry before, although maybe a big fan and a very smart individual.
Well, even though she bought it from the Jarretts, Jeff was highly, very involved with the storylines and stuff like that. So that was a good thing because you had that wrestling mindset still there. So it was still going well. I mean, it wasn't long after that we got to Orlando, got Samoa Joe in there. It was dude.
Love Samoa Joe's.
I was begging him to get Joe in here because he didn't understand. Some people don't see people the way we do.
Yeah.
And I knew Joe was going to tear it up, and him and I did amazing stuff. Joe was just tearing people apart. And then it wasn't long after that, here comes Christian. And it wasn't long after that, Kurt Angle came. And now it's amazing. I remember seeing Kurt and going, oh my God, because nobody knew about it.
Right.
We're just like, this is amazing. So everybody's excited. I remember saying to another one of my best friends, I have 3 friends in this business that I count on that will pick me up 3 a.m, no matter how far away. Samoa Joe, Frankie Kazarian, and Christopher Daniels. I remember Frankie Kazarian going out on our first pay-per-view, when I was at TNA, and I said, tear it up, man. This is it. We were excited about this, and he went out there and he did. Yeah. It was such a great feeling there that we, a bunch of guys who wrestled on independents, came together and we were doing something special.
And that sounds great because, when you dug in, it's almost you against the world, really. But did y'all ever feel that you were really viable competition for WWE, or were you just in it for yourselves and the structure that was TNA, and hey, let's grow this son of a bitch as much as we can?
That's exactly it. That we wanted, we didn't think, at the time, we thought we could be competition for the WWE. That was the goal. And then we thought, well, we need to be competition for UFC as well. We need to be competition for everybody. We need to do, what we need to do to bust our tail and get there. That was the ultimate goal.
What were your thoughts then? You were in the trenches working with all the guys you just mentioned, premier workers, and you got guys like, the Flair, Sting, Nash, Hogan. Angle came in, but you were working with him. But you were never the centerpiece of that company, although you held the belt 3 different occasions, many different other belts as well. Did you feel like you were second fiddle to the big names?
Well, to a degree, because I knew that I really believe that Dixie was more of a fan of who she watched on television rather than the guys that got him to the ball game.
Right.
And so that, I saw that. But at the same time, I knew that you couldn't be at the top all the time. You got to play your part in this role. And here's the truth. I don't care who's at top, because if that top guy is doing well for himself, we're all doing good. And I'm okay with that. I'll work my way back to that spot, but you can't always be in the top spot.
All right, that being said, I'm going to stay on TNA, but you are here, right here now in WWE to be on top and to stay on top, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I want to ask you one question. That 6-sided ring, that looked like a pain in the ass to work in. Do you prefer a 6-sided ring or a squared circle?
Well, here's the thing. When we were in the 6-sided ring, I thought it made us different. I thought different is good, and I still think that to this day. But when Hogan he came in. We heard rumors that they were going to change all this stuff. Everybody's coming in. We're going to switch to a squared ring. I said, that's crazy. We wouldn't do that because this is who we are. Sure enough. Well, before that happened, I took the belly-to-belly from Kurt off the top rope in the six-sided ring, and I thought to myself, I'm never taking that again. Well, I wrestled Kurt, and we were in the squared ring, and here he goes to give it to me again. It was like paradise.
Right.
So right then and there, it changed the way I felt about the six-sided ring because our ring is built different, obviously, from the squared and the six sides. Six sides is rough.
How did it come to be the phenomenal one, that part of the AJ Styles equation?
Well, I will say this. There was when I was working for NWA Wildside back when I first started, Dan the Dragon Wilson, who was a commentator, called me the phenomenal AJ Styles. Then I had a buddy who said, you'd come up to me for no reason, be like, hey, what's up, phenomenal one? There you have it. And we just kind of ran with it.
All right, the phenomenal one, AJ Styles, is who I'm talking with right now. And AJ, we still got to talk about the Styles Clash, TNA, and this year's Wrestlemania. But before we do that, let me take a minute to thank all my great listeners for supporting the fine sponsors of this award-winning podcast that ain't never won squat. And that includes my close personal friend, Diamond Dallas Page and DDP Yoga. Dallas and his crew are the ones who did the Resurrection of Jake the Snake documentary. You have to see this documentary. It's not a wrestling documentary. This is a story about a man named Jake, and his battle to reclaim his life, his health, his family, and his career. It's his journey back from what a lot of us in the squared circle business thought was certain demise. We didn't think Jake was going to make it. But then DDP and his guys jumped in and saved Jake's life. DDP brought Jake to Atlanta and spent 3 years, folks, working with Jake and helping him. And they filmed it all and turned it into this incredible documentary. I'm telling you, you will laugh, you will cry, and you're going to be cheering for Jake, and you'll be inspired when it's all done. And now, The Resurrection of Jake the Snake is out on DVD and Blu-ray. And Dallas loaded it up with extra content. He's got over 20 bonus features on the DVD release, including commentary narrated by Dallas, Jake, and director Steve Yu. And right now, you can get the collector's edition of The Resurrection of Jake the Snake at ddpyoga.com/Austin and get 10% off anything you buy for a limited time. So get the documentary and then get yourself on the DDP Yoga program and do all that for 10% off by going to ddpyoga.com/Austin. As Dallas always says, all you got to do is commit. And when you see what that commitment did for Jake the Snake, you'll want to commit too. Start living a healthy life today. Go to ddpyoga.com/Austin and for a limited time, get 10% off anything you buy.
Okay, describe to me now here as we sit in the WWE. Hell, earlier you just got finished kicking the crap out of John Cena. You had a bust-ass match with him on Sunday at the pay-per-view. You're going to probably follow that up with some more matches with the guy. You're on fire. So tell me, like when I'm thinking, sitting here, okay, you tell me Stone Cold, I get it. Undertaker, I get it. The Rock, I get it. Hogan, I get it. Phenomenal one. Fill me in. What is the phenomenal one? Who is the phenomenal one?
I think he's the guy that no matter who he's in the ring with, you know you're going to see something special. And it may be something you've never seen before, and the fact that I can pull it off anytime, anywhere, any place. I think that's what makes me phenomenal. And
go ahead.
And at the same time, you know, I'm enjoying myself when I'm in there.
No, and here's the thing, and I enjoy how humble you are, but when I hear that confidence, and when I hear you saying you're having fun, man, that's music to my ears because you have to be confident. Never let them see you sweat, and you're on top of your game. And if you ain't, man, it's like tonight's house. You guys were rocking it out there. And in Las Vegas last night, the people were in. Vegas is a tough town because you never know what you're going to get there. So props to that crowd last night at the pay-per-view. They were on fire. And when you go out there, all the chips are on the line. You're out there with the number one babyface in the company, which is John Cena.
Absolutely.
And that crowd was electric. And, dude, you're calm, cool, and collected, and you're in your element. You're calm. You're not rattled. You're confident because the task at hand is to rock these cats, and that's what you did. And that's what I like about you. Before we get more into the WWE action, all of a sudden this 12-year run and 11-year in TNA comes to an end. The highs and lows, everything that it was, all the bookers coming in. Why leave TNA?
I feel like when you work hard, you should get paid for that.
Damn right.
And I worked hard. I never, got in trouble. I never did anything to embarrass the company. And yet I was taking a pay cut. At least that's what they wanted me to. I didn't think that was right. And I put a bet on myself. I bet on myself that I could go to Ring of Honor, and then somehow get in the New Japan, and everything worked out. And that bet worked. I believe in myself, and I bet on me, and it worked out.
Good call, because you got to believe in yourself. And I tell everybody that I pass in that locker room, if you don't believe in yourself, it's like we talked earlier. Man, if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't stick up for yourself, nobody is. So props. Talk about Ring of Honor. Let's talk about New Japan, the transition there. Working in front there in TNA for give or take 11 years and your American stateside stuff before you left for Japan. Talk to me about the transition, working American crowds versus Japanese crowds. Very different culture, very different crowds when you're trying to work in the squared circle.
It is a little bit different because they're not as crazy. Like the Las Vegas crowd was amazing. They're not going to be that way. They're going to sit and they're going to be very quiet. You've wrestled in Japan. It's totally different. But the wrestling isn't. And that's who, I was at home. I was with the top guys there. Literally, it's crazy how it sounds, but I don't know if you know the story. But I literally came in right to the top. I didn't wrestle any of the guys.
Give me the
straight
story.
To the top. Well,
because that's a Bullet Club story, right?
That's exactly where we're going with this.
Talk to me.
Finn Balor, Prince Devitt, he had made a decision that he was going to go to NXT. He's going to take a chance bet on himself, which was a great bet. And literally, as I'm coming over to New Japan, we do this. I beat up Okada, show that I got the Bullet Club shirt on. Finn Balor is on his way out. I was there when you give a little speech, say thank you for everything. It was very emotional with Finn. And, being in the locker room saying, to the guys, he'd been there like 8 years.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of was right in there, wrestled Okada, first match, beat him for the IWGP World Heavyweight title.
Just as far as a performance factor in the ring, man, I only went to Japan for 3 different tours. One time, the longest I was over was 3 weeks, in which myself and Arn Anderson drank a lot of beer to maintain our sanity.
Sounds like Gallows and Anderson.
Yeah, we'll get to those. But when you're over there, it's a whole different mindset, especially when you come American side wrestler and you go over there, because, man, I'm listening to a crowd, as you are here, yes. And that's how you're basing your decisions about where you go. And so all of a sudden you go from here to there and you're working in silence. How long did it take you to grasp onto this and say, okay, here's what it is. It's just a different style, but how did that affect your decision-making process in the ring, on the fly, in a match?
Well, I got to tell you, I've wrestled there before, so I knew what to expect. What I didn't expect is how good, Tanahashi, Okada, Shinsuke Nakamura, Shinsuke is over here as well. I didn't know how good they were. Man, it was amazing. And I remember one specific time where I had Tanahashi in the calf crusher. I'm wrenching it. And the crowd just coming. And so we're feeling it. We're seeing it. And I thought, what's going to happen here? And then you see fans crying in the front row because they were afraid that Tanahashi was going to tap out.
Yeah.
And right then and there, I go, wow, that's the beauty of telling a great story. That's what it's all about. And it was just unbelievable, the matches I had.
One of the things that I also enjoy about your work style, again, I'm a fan, and it's fun for me, who's been out of the business since 2003, to look at a guy and say, man, I'm a fan. And so to watch your matches. If you go to YouTube, I always get people to watch on my podcast, and it's the 25 moves of AJ Styles. And the calf crushers in there. There's so many, the Styles Clash off the second rope. Well, there's 25. You can look at it on YouTube yourself. Dude, how did you come up with this? Because innovation is the word I want to use. How did you come up with some of the sequences, some of the move sets that you've come up with? Because I've never seen them before. And what I like about your style is you execute with malice and intent to harm. You're very safe, but that's one of the things I like. It's not like a ballet dance, and I'll bring a match up here in a little bit. Talk about all the moves that you create and being the innovator that you are.
First of all, I want to be different than anybody else. When I hit a move, I don't want them to think, oh, Ric Flair or Stone Cold. I want them to go, AJ Styles. So when someone else hits the same move or someone that looks very similar, they're going, that's AJ Styles' move. I want them to think of me and me alone. So that's why every one of my moves is I try to be unique in everything that I do. And sometimes it's every move's it's been done, but you can put your own twist on it to make it yours. I've seen a forearm before. I've seen Misawa do his forearm from the second, but how do I make it my own? And that goes in. It's just little things like Muda, and he do that elbow. It's an elbow.
Right.
That's when I say, okay, when I do my knee, I'm going to move a little bit in the air to make it a little bit different than everybody else's.
And I like that. You brought up Shinsuke Nakamura a while ago. He is the king of strong style. He's down in NXT. Who knows when we called to the main roster. But going back to the king of strong style, it makes me think of you. You lay your stuff in. And so I don't know what the gag was or if it's just straight up shoot. A spinning back fist, you knock the Miz's teeth out of his mouth. When you come in here, you've been here 6 months now, give or take. What did people think? It's like, hey, man, I was known during my comeback I would have done good in the UFC, according to some of the guys that I work with. I'm ribbing. But I was a little bit snug. I took care of the business, protected the business. I laid my shit in, okay? Any heat from the boys in the locker room?
None at all.
Really?
None at all. That's the pros that we have here. I didn't see one guy go, God, dude, nope. In fact, they said, bring it. That's it. This is a tough dude. He doesn't get enough credit. He's tough, man. I respect that guy. And if I thought that there may be a chance that there would be some trouble on the way, because I do bring it, I'll make sure they know that it's coming. And so build it up so when it does come, it's not as bad as they thought it was going to be.
Right.
So, but like you, man, I hit me, bring it. I like that. In fact, the harder you hit me, the more I'm into it. So bring it, man, and I don't mind that. I don't mind that part of it. Now, don't murder me where I can't figure out what to do next, but let's make a sound and protect the business, as you say.
What would be some of your favorite moments in your career thus far?
I think a lot of them, as far as some of the matches that I had, I've had so many here lately. I was in the Royal Rumble.
Talk to me about your response when you happened to Rumble, because here was when you made your entrance. Roman Reigns was in the ring. He's the world champion. You just had 2 world-class matches with the guy in recent months. You come down, and the people light up. Did you expect that?
Not at all. Dude, I was so worried that they wouldn't know who I was.
Right.
I thought it was the perfect place because it was Orlando. I had a chance. So I was hoping for that. I was hoping to come out early. But the way we did it was perfect. And, dude, I could have stood right there for 5 minutes and just sucked that in. I was just loving it. Couldn't believe it. Try not to act like I wasn't, I could have walked back through the curtain and go, I'm done, dude. That was it. But getting in the ring with Roman, man, it was really cool knowing how they felt about him at the time, and it was a pretty good moment for me.
Why did you decide that now is the time to come to the WWE? It's been 18 years in the making.
Well, there was an opportunity. I got in touch with a friend who got in touch with Triple H, who said he was going to call me. Never did. And I just assumed, hey, listen, I'm 37 years old. They're not going to call you. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm happy with where I'm at. And maybe 2 weeks later, I finally get that call. Now, during that time, we may have to go back to the TNA because of this. I needed to get back home. I missed my kids. If something happened to them while I was in Japan, I wouldn't know what to do. Not be able to get home really frightened me. So I was like, I need to get back home. TNA, we started talking about it, maybe something, but we were also talking to Ring of Honor, New Japan, who work together. Maybe we do something there too as well. So we're doing some, yapping back and forth, and went and had a conversation with a couple people at TNA to see what we were going to do. And Triple H called. We had a great conversation, 30-minute conversation. First time I ever talked to the guy. I knew that's where the place I needed to be was here. And so, lo and behold, here I am. I had to tell New Japan, which is very difficult, for a company that's so good to you.
Yeah, there's a loyalty there.
To say, I'm really, really sorry, guys. But I got to get home. I got to. And their reaction was like, oh no. I think Carl Anderson was the first one to go up to Ghetto and said, hey, I got to talk to you. And he was like, oh no. And he goes, and he told him that he was leaving. And he goes, hey, and Gallows and AJ. Right. Oh no. So it was a big blow, but man, they were so good to me in the way that when I left, they were still good to me. What is the difference between the way WWE operates versus TNA versus New Japan? Well, you put it Ring of Honor, but that's a smaller group. Talk to me about just operation standard operating procedures, protocols for the boys. This is the most professional place I've ever worked. And you may not realize that. You mean that straight up. You ain't just blowing smoke. Dude, I'm telling you, hey, listen. Now you're trying to get heat. They have great catering here. Okay. I didn't have it really anywhere else. I mean, this is it's. But straight up, and I tell people. Sorry to cut you off, but I tell people this. Back when I was in WCW, when you're on that side, it's war. We're number one. WWE, we're number one. But really, when it comes down to it, WWE is the major leagues, and that's just the way it is. Compare it to anything. There's nothing to compare. So, were all of your expectations met? Are you being treated the way you want to be treated? How is your communication process with Vince versus Triple H or whoever you need to talk to express yourself and talk to what P1 AJ Styles wants to talk about and what you see? Are you able to voice your opinion, chip in? Yeah, absolutely. I know who's in charge. I can go to the source. Or before, I wasn't sure exactly who to go to. So now this is the place. There's one man in charge of everything. But I also know that if he's not available, I can go talk to Triple H. You know what? I can talk to, Chrono. There's guys that are available that I can talk to and have no problem talking to me about it. That's just, it's not everywhere, obviously. A lot of people will sit there on the outside and say, oh, man, they're keeping everybody down because this guy and this guy and this guy got all the main spots and no one to get a shot. Do you believe that to be the case, or do you believe that they are doing everything they can with AJ Styles? I believe they're giving me every opportunity to make a name for myself. You give me the opportunity, and I will take it, and I will run with it. That's all I need. Just give me the opportunity. Damn right. And they've given me that. Listen, I said it already. There's no way that Vince McMahon saw anything special in me at the beginning. But when he told me, he said, listen, let me tell you what I want. I want this pit bull. I said, I know that guy. I know that guy. I was, when I stepped onto in the mat, that's exactly who I was. That's exactly who I am. I got something to prove. Give me the opportunity. You've been all over the world. You're an 18-year veteran. You've seen a lot of it. Done a lot of it. But what was your first WrestleMania experience like? Because, dude, AT&T Stadium, Dallas, Texas, 101,000, biggest crowd WWE's ever had, rocking that place. What did you think when you walked out? Because Jerry Jones built a house that just can't be topped. Your feelings when you went out, because you're a confident vet, you know what you're doing. Tell me your feelings. My knees are shaking. I guarantee you. They're shaking. The crowd's so huge. Record setting. Yeah. My first WrestleMania, not that I said, but I like to think I was part of it. It doesn't get much better than that. How can it? I'll tell you the craziest thing, man. I couldn't hear a thing in that ring. I know they were making sounds, but the fans, I couldn't hear them because all that sound was going up. That was the first time I really experienced something like that. I thought, does anybody care about this match? Because there was so little that I heard from the crowd. So it was really hard to play off them as well. And, dude, I speak from experience because we were there in Toronto. Oh, man, it was Ford Field in Detroit. And it was Trump versus McMahon. And I was a special referee. And we're thinking the whole time, me and Vince are looking at each other like, we're not doing so great. The crowd don't care. We can't hear them. Dude, the vocal noise goes up to the ceiling. You don't hear nothing. So it's hard to make a decision. Right. You went down that night. Shoulders got pinned to the mat, 1, 2, 3. I heard your kids were a little bit upset. They were a little bit upset, and I was like, guys, trust me. I lost that ring, but Dad won tonight. Believe me. And I got a little snippet, of what was going on, the opportunity the next night. And so, I made sure they were there. But, yeah, they were a little disappointed in Dad losing. But, I made sure they knew that Dad didn't really lose that night because I was at WrestleMania. It was unbelievable.
Question before they get me to go home, Q. I've had a lot of fun talking to you, and we've talked in the past, just briefly when we pass by each other in the hallways. The few times I get a chance to come up here and see the guys and do a podcast. You're at home. I'm watching what you're doing now. You kind of just came in as AJ Styles, phenomenal one. Do you prefer working heel? Do you prefer working baby? Because right now you're on a heel run.
I prefer to work wherever I'm needed.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm having fun. Either way, I'm going to make it work. But it's a lot easier to be a heel than it is a baby face. And you know that it's the things you get away with, and sometimes that turn is almost what makes you that good guy again.
What would you say the future holds for the phenomenal one, AJ Styles, here in the WWE?
I would think that the relationship that I have here now and the work ethic that I'm showing now hopefully will provide a job, not performing, but in the maybe helping someone getting better or something like that somewhere in the office within this company. I hope that they've seen the work ethic and maybe I can hold a job somewhere in this company.
And you've been around the horn long enough through your years and all the other promotions that you've worked. You've been here now. These are shark-infested waters. I've told you that before. So you know what you must do. The communication channels must be open. The positivity on your level must be nothing but straight up positive, and be willing to make all the shots. Do you feel good about where you stand here? Do you feel like there's a glass ceiling? Do you feel like there's anybody holding your ass down?
Absolutely not. I don't see how. I don't understand that. How can someone hold you down if you don't let them? I mean, I'm going to go out there, and it's my job to get AJ Styles over. It's my job to make sure people want to see me in that ring. That's my job, and I'll take that because I'll make the best of it. And so I don't feel like you can't be held down if you give them what they want to see.
I've enjoyed seeing you expand your character a little bit with your promos lately. My question is, we've seen you in the ring. What else do you have? Do you have more to offer from a physicality standpoint? Have you only scratched the surface?
Only scratch the surface. There's a lot of stuff that I got in the bag that I can definitely throw out. There's some big stuff that may come out much later that people have wanted to see, and maybe I can take that and run with that as well. I mean, there's stuff that I've got that you don't. If you use it all the time, then it's not special. But if you use it every now and then, well, man, it's exciting.
Well, man, I'm looking forward to seeing what the future holds for you here in the WWE as you move forward. It's been a badass 6 months. Loved your run of your matches with Roman Reigns. I loved the match with John Cena last night. I wish you health, safe travels, all the best. Dude, these are shark-infested waters. Only the strong survive. I wish you all the luck. It was a joy talking to you tonight. I've been a fan of your work for a long time. So, hey, man, I'm talking to AJ Styles, a phenomenal one. We're wrapping this thing up from Phoenix, Arizona. Shout out to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Kevin Love for rocking all my stuff. NBA championship. AJ, best of luck in the future.
Appreciate it.
I'm coming back in a month or two. I don't know who I'm talking to, but right now I'm in the PHX. I'm signing off of the WWE Network of the Stone Cold Podcast. I will catch your ass down the road.